Hi everyone, this is Jason here, and I'm the guy who's trying to run a game of Insane Monopoly on the internet. This is a slideshow about the Insane Monopoly Streamloots cards that will be used for Insane Monopoly Game 3 in conjunction with the Raj piece, which will be talked about on a separate video. There's a couple of things that I'm going to go over alongside these Insane Monopoly Streamloots cards, explaining how they work, how you can get them, how they can mess with the players, and how you get to play along despite the fact that you're not actually playing. There's also a system in place that will help us to protect ourselves just in case some of you get a little bit crazy in regards to how the Streamloots cards are used. Streamloots cards can be purchased at the link below, which will also be in the link for all of the streams that we do on YouTube of Insane Monopoly. And the way that they work is you purchase packs through the Streamloots website, and then you get to play the cards during the game, live while we're streaming. They'll pop up on screen, they'll announce who played them, who they're affecting, and what they do. And then at the end of the current turn, or sooner if we have to, we will adhere to whatever the card is, whether we like it or not. You'll notice that each card has its own rarity, which is dictated by the multiple colored diamonds in the lower left-hand corner, and in the lower right-hand corner there's a thing called power level. Each card has a numerical power level determined by how good the card is, and if it's a negative card, then each player who is affected by the card gets that much MP, Monopoly points. Later on, once we've started stockpiling Monopoly points, we can spend 5 times that number of Monopoly points to cancel a card that is played. This is placed because in Insane Monopoly Game 2, we had the ability to play Streamloots cards, and it got abused to the point where a lot of us were having a lot of problems with it. We're gonna be skipping out on that. We will be allowed to skip cards if we have the power to do so. Additionally, some of the cards have a little bit of extra stipulations that involve work that you, the consumer, will have to do. There will also be a link every stream to the game status document, which is a Google Sheets document that 4 of us will be working on every episode to keep information about the game as easily at your fingertips as possible. We're going to ask that you refer to that document sometimes when playing some of these cards, and I'll go over that a little more as we get to them. If you do not look over the game status when a card recommends you do so, and you play a card that we can't adhere to, you don't get the card back. So please do beware. First card is Pyramid Scheme plus $100. The player of your choice adds $100 to their Pyramid Scheme. Investment plus $50. You choose a player, they add $50 to their investment. Abundance adds $1,000 to the pool, whereas Group Donation forces everybody playing to add $100 of their own ready cash to the pool. Roll 3. A player of your choice gets a Roll 3 card, then rolls 3. Anyone can cash in at that point. Dice plus 1 gives the player of your choice 1 additional die to roll on their next turn. Whereas no fun allowed, the player of your choice doesn't roll the speed, speedier, or scheme die on their next turn. When you play Laser Pointer and point it at a space, Raj will travel directly to that space at the end of the current player's turn. If you're curious as to who Raj is, make sure that you watch the other video that I post about Insane Monopoly Game 3, which should be posted either at the same time or shortly after this video is posted. The Mystery Die. The player of your choice rolls the Mystery Die and draws the card as shown on the Mystery Die, resolving it immediately. Loan Forgiveness is one of those cards that you need to check the game status for. The player of your choice unmortgages a property they own for free. If they don't have any mortgaged properties, this card is lost. Free Stock gives the player of your choice a stock of their choice. Investment dice means that the player of your choice rolls the investment dice. We have a special die for the minigame time. If you play this card, we'll roll that die, and whoever wins the minigame instantly gets 1,000 ready cash. The Nyoomies gives Raj the Nyoomies, and he takes an extra turn at the end of the current turn, even if it wouldn't be his turn. If you play transit development on a player, they'll get to build an improvement on any one railroad, cab company, harbor, monorail, or airport they own for free. Playing the Scampot on a player forces them to pay $1,000 to the lotto jackpot. They're not going to like you for this card. Make It Rain, on the other hand, is a card that all the players will like because it will give all players $200. Gambling Intervention will force the player of your choice to discard a roll 3 card they have for no money. If you want, ask us to check to see who has how many roll 3 cards. We have to follow it up as best as we're able. Dice -1 is the opposite of Dice +1 and removes one of the dice that a player rolls on their next turn. Sued is just the player of your choice gets $200 in court fees. Kitty Treats gives Raj 1,000 extra dollars to divvy up as he sees fit. Free Voucher gives the player of your choice a card from the deck of your choice, which they then resolve immediately. If you play Lottery Drawing, then the player of your choice performs a lotto roll. Maybe they'll win the jackpot that somebody else was forced to pay it into. The Good Pets is a card that you play to send Raj to the player of your choice. Raj returns to the space he was on afterwards, but the player of your choice acts as if they gave Raj the Good Pets. If you haven't watched the other video about Raj, the way it works is when a player meets or passes Raj, or vice versa, they give him the Good Pets, where they roll 2 mystery dice and may either choose either of the cards that came up or to get some MP instead. Remember, MP is used to cancel Streamloots cards that they don't want. Mandated Demolition demands that you do a little bit of research beforehand. Check the game status, and then check who owns what improved properties. You get to choose one of those properties to lose a house. Play Pyramid Scheme, and the player of your choice will have to draw a Pyramid Scheme card, whether they want to or not. If you play Global Event, then the player of your choice draws a Global Event card and places it on the board where they want. Playing the Auctioneer forces us to either draw the top Public Works or Employee card, your choice, and then we'll auction it off. You can force a player to mortgage a property that they own as long as it is unimproved. It can still be mortgaged if it's part of a full set, but if it has houses on it, it cannot be affected by this card. You'll have to check the game status for this one, because if you try to mortgage a building or a property that cannot be mortgaged, you do not get the card back. Around the World is one of the quirkier cards that we came up with. When you play it on a player, that player will go around the entire track of the current board they're on, pardon me, and they land on the space behind them, triggering all the corner spaces they pass on the way, but not the space they're forced to move to. When you play Charity, you pick a player of their choice, and they're forced to pay $250 to another player of your choice. Return to Monkey with Return to Relative Normalcy. Ask us to look at the global events, and then you get to discard one of them of your choice. Photogenic Kitty gives Raj a buff for his next turn. Any mortgaged properties that he passes by on his next turn are unmortgaged for free, whether the owner wants them unmortgaged or not. Group Dividends is a popular card. All players collect their stock dividends, and then you choose one player who gets to buy a stock if they so choose. Corner Bus Ticket is another way to make friends. The player of your choice immediately travels to whatever corner they wish to go to. Revoked Shares forces a player to give up a stock that they own. Extreme Foresight grants the player a choice of a crystal ball. They get to look at the top of the Chance, Community Chest, Shady Business, and Shenanigans decks, and they may choose one of the cards to play, or just play none of them at all. All unplayed cards go back on top of the deck that they were drawn from. Adverse Possession gives somebody some free real estate. You choose the player of your choice, and the next available property that they could land on immediately becomes theirs for free. The Blenderdome is a card that was affectionately deemed after Devin decided he called the Blender the Blender. When you play this on a player of your choice, they're immediately sent to the Blender. They're sent to the first unowned property in it, may buy it if they want, and if all 8 properties in the Blender are owned, they instead go to Holiday Sale and can buy a property. This is a card that will make you friends. Public Works is a card that you play on a player and they draw a Public Works card, and if they decide immediately to build it, may do so for free. If they don't take the choice to build it immediately, they still keep the Public Works card, but must pay to build it as normal. Money Printer. Everybody remembers I print money at the start of their turn. If you play this card, then you give somebody a Money Printer card. It is not a Public Works, it does not have to be built, but it still gives that player $10 at the start of their turn. Every turn. And this stacks. Many times if necessary. Play Money Laundering, and the player of your choice drops their pyramid scheme to $0, but all money lost in that fashion instead goes to their investment. Kinda sus, if you ask me. It's a trap! Play this card on a player and they'll get to draw a trap card from the lovingly made It's a Trap deck that Lord of Fail worked so hard on. These are all cards that would normally read, keep this card until needed. We play with those cards face down as a hidden card, so you're giving some players some power with this Streamloots card. Call an ambulance, but not for me. The next player to pay rent after the current turn is instead paid that rent by the property owner. It's a turnaround, and it can affect anyone. When you manufacture housing with the manufactured housing card, choose a property on the board, and it gets a house. Any property on the board. Whether or not somebody owns it or not. You don't even have to follow even building rules. You're not a player in the game. Those rules don't affect you. Whoever ends up owning a property that already has houses on it also gets those houses. Play an advanced payday on a player, and they'll get to act as if they just passed the nearest pay corner, even though they don't move. Forced Auction is my favorite card in the game. Whenever Forced Auction is played, the next player who lands on any unknown property must auction it off rather than being permitted to buy it. I am required to state that this is my favorite card, even though I hate this card with every fiber of my being, and I was literally the only one in the meetings who was against this card's very existence. Note that the power level on this is 5-star. It takes 25 MP to cancel this card, unless I am the one attempting to cancel it, upon which I must pay 50. I am once again legally obligated to state that this is my favorite card. I hate this card. It's my favorite card. I hate this card. Imprisonment! You send a player directly to jail. This card was intended to be locked at the start of the game, but thanks to some generous donations to my Ko-fi, which will also be linked at the bottom, this card will be available from turn 1 if you pull it. Joy. Forfeiture is a card that will make enemies. The player of your choice loses the property of your choice as long as it wasn't part of a full set or already improved upon when you play the card. Once again, check the game status. If you play this card on a property that cannot be seized in this fashion, you do not get the card back. Cash minus $600 does what it says on the tin. Pick a player, they're $600 poorer. Lined Pockets, on the other hand, is a much more powerful card. Pick a player of your choice. They act as if they landed on investment. Their investment is tripled, and they may reinvest up to $300 or more if they have the right employees. Yard Sale. Do some research on this one as well, because the player of your choice must auction the property you tell them to auction, unless it was part of a complete set or improved upon at the time of playing the card. Once again, check the game status. If you play this card on an improved or full set property, you do not get it back. Insane Pyramid Scheme is scary for the player you play it on, because they must draw a risky Pyramid Scheme card, whether they want to or not. Cat Burglary has Raj stealing half the pool for his own ready cash. Instantaneous Movement involves you choosing two players, and they swap spaces. Neither player resolves the space they warp to, and you cannot warp a player in or out of jail with this card. Employee Auction. The player of your choice is forced to auction off the employee of your choice. Unless they have the union representative, then that one goes first. Please feel free to ask us to review employees if you want. We'll get real scared. It'll be great. Uno Reverse Man makes everybody go the opposite direction when they take their turn for one trip around the table. This even affects Raj, who instead of going in reverse as he normally does, moves forward. If you play Litigation, then the player of your choice will be forced to pay off their court fees at the end of the current turn. I forgot to write down the thing for I Like Trains. Please hold. Alright, play this card and choose a player, and they'll travel to the nearest railroad. They can buy it, or if it's owned, they only pay half rent. I'm not cutting this out. I'm a professional streamer. Deal with it. Existing tax. Hey, please, says the IRS. All players must pay either 25% of their ready cash or $1,000 to the pool, whichever's lesser. 2 weeks notice. The player of your choice must discard an employee at random unless they have the lout. If they have the lout, they instead discard the lout and gain $2,000. Subway Ride permits the player of your choice to travel directly to the subway, and then they get to go where they want next turn. We have a question mark by the power level because this card may be changed depending on how it is used. If it's deemed too powerful, we will increase the power level on this. We reserve the rights to edit the cards as we need to at any time. STONKS! It's confused STONKS because for one turn around the board, every non-jail corner space is a stock exchange instead of whatever it normally is. This could get very confusing. Cash Siphon. The player of your choice gets half the pool. This could get ridiculous later on in the game. First Class Shipping. The player of your choice travels directly to the non-jail space of your choice, but doesn't resolve the space. You can't send someone to jail with this, but you can bust someone out of jail with this. Cash plus 1,000 is exactly what it says on the tin and grants the player of your choice 1,000 ready cash. Weighted Dice is played on a player of your choice, and then on their next turn, they don't roll the dice. They just set the dice to whatever they want the dice to be. They cannot give themselves triples with this, but everything else is fair game. Nope.avi gives a player a Just Say No card, which permits them to reject the effects of any in-game card. Doesn't save them from Streamloots, though. The Rent Dodge Pass gives the player a Rent Dodge card, which they can hand in instead of paying rent one time. Needless to say, this is a very powerful card. And then we're up to the locked cards. Some of these cards are so powerful and so impactful that they won't immediately be available when we start the game. They will be unlocked in time after a set number of rounds, or if you donate to my Ko-fi, I could be convinced to unlock some of the cards early. Make sure to keep in touch with the Insane Monopoly Discord, as I'll be dropping hints as to what I'm looking for there. You'll also get the updates on when we're all streaming, and you'll be able to see what cards are getting unlocked when. Anyways, the locked cards, and these are going to be real fun. Larceny. The player of your choice steals a property of their choice from a victim of your choice. They can't break up a full set or take an improved property, however. Hostile Takeover. The player of your choice forcibly buys out the property of your choice from another player of your choice, paying 3 times what the property's base value was. You can't use this card to break up a full set, and they cannot forcibly take over an improved property. Once again, check the status. You do not get a refund if this card gets used improperly. Nuclear Detonation. Ask the game status, who owns what public works, and then drop a nuke on one of them. That public works gets destroyed and removed from the game. No one gets to have it ever. More STONKS! This is Lord of Fail's favorite card because it adds 1 copy of each share of stock to the game, up to a maximum of 10 stocks per, rather than 5. Spicy Imprisonment is the same as the Imprisonment card, sending a player directly to jail, but it also gives them $500 in fresh court fees. Shadow Clone Skyscraper was edited from the last time we had it because it was way too powerful. It's still way too powerful. If the bank has run out of skyscrapers, Shadow Clone Skyscraper makes a Shadow Clone Skyscraper that you give to a player of your choice, permitting them to build an additional skyscraper when the bank has otherwise ran out. You can even play this card before the bank has run out of skyscrapers, and the player can use their skyscraper if they want. They probably won't. They probably want to snatch up all of that prime real estate. Either way, break the game with this card. It's great. The Revolution pulls up all of the players' ready cash and then distributes it to them all evenly. If you're thinking this sounds like the Bowser Revolution from Mario Party, that's because it basically is. Although if you want a less gentle version of the Revolution, there's Death by 1,000 Cuts. It does the same thing as the Revolution, but then it sets everybody's ready cash to exactly 1,000, whether they're below it or above it. This could be a very dangerous card. Double Trouble is an incredibly powerful card, as it gives a player of your choice a double rent card, permitting them to double the rent that they charge another player anytime they get to charge rent. It's a one-time use, but this could break a game. Now we're getting into the 4 most powerful cards of the Streamloots deck. They will unlock late, or through a donation, or, in one case, a special situation. So WARUDO, played on a player of your choice, gives them an entire color group of your choosing, despite whoever owns it, even if it's a full set, even if it was improved. They get immediate ownership of the entire color set, and if they had buildings on them already, they get immediate ownership of the buildings as well. This is a very powerful card and can dramatically alter the outcome of the game. Devastating Earthquake destroys all buildings on a color group of your choice. This could be particularly bad if somebody's built 5 skyscrapers, because those 5 skyscrapers will be rubble afterwards. Check the game status for this, because you want to make sure that your impact is felt for generations. Miria's credit card is a card that cannot be countered. In the previous game, Raj had infinite money. We decided that was too powerful and gave Raj a finite amount of money. However, if you play this limited use, one card only card, then Raj steals Miria's credit card and regains his infinite money. He will always have however much money he needs at any given time to pay any player that he pays rent to. He'll also love you forever. He will think you're here, that you're his favorite human for like 15 whole minutes, and will let you give him the good pets. And finally, the most powerful card, the most dangerous card, the Valkyria Staff. This card does not even unlock until someone goes bankrupt. If the first bankruptcy happens before a set number of episodes, probably 15 or 20, we will continue the game despite being one player down. If we continue the game with a bankrupted player and you play this limited use, one-time only card, that player will be resurrected at the end of the current turn, brought back to the game, and given a boatload of money. An amount of money equal to the global score value of the first place player at the end of the previous round. And in addition, they will also be permitted to buy a number of properties equal to the round number. If you bring back somebody on round 13, they will get to pick 13 properties to buy without any contestation. They don't have to land on it. They just instantly get back in. This card is massive. There is only one. It is legendary. The chances of you getting it are kind of slim, to be honest. This card may not even pop up. But note that its power level is yes. It does not get countered. And that is an almost complete, but not quite there, explanation of the Streamloots cards that will come up in Insane Monopoly Game 3. There are a few fun ones that are considered common rarity that do not actually affect the gameplay. Some of them just play sound effects as we loved them from the previous game. Some of them will do silly things like force us to change what our token is. One of them lets us have control of the banana, because we keep the banana on the board. It's there for scale. And then there will be a few extra new cards that will let you pick on the streamer. I look forward to them in the way that I don't. Also, some of the cards we actually eliminated because they were just terrible ideas. Like, for example, our favorite joke, gambling, we're in! We stopped playing Insane Monopoly and instead play a game of Red Dragon Inn, and whoever wins the game of Red Dragon Inn gets $1,000. It was a terrible idea. You don't want to see that. You don't need to see that. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It just no. No. Anyways, we will have the game of Insane Monopoly Game 3 soon. We hope to see you there. And good luck. I know we'll need it.